sometimes it's good to have a low profile. Perhaps, the prophet Zephaniah tells us, those who do may be hidden on the day of the wrath of the Lord. I was an Episcopal priest for 38 years before entering the Catholic Church. And for many of those years, I had a high profile. I was part of the national and international leadership of an organization which tried to call the Anglican Communion back to elements of its historic faith and order, elements it had shared with the Catholic Church, which it had compromised or abandoned. I was that group's liaison with other groups that had similar concerns. And I often was called upon to write or to speak, both within that group and to others on my group's behalf. I was even given an honor. I was appointed a canon, like an Anglican Monsignor. All of that started to change in the autumn of 2008, when I first approached then Archbishop O'Brien, seeking reception into full communion with the Catholic Church. And since my reception in 2009 and my ordination in 2011, it's all but disappeared. No leadership role, hardly any publications, no major addresses. Now, I would like to be able to say that entry into the fullness of Christ's church was worth it. And in my mind, I do think and believe that to be true. But I have to confess that there's a part of me, the fallen part, that misses being important, misses being someone to whom others looked for instruction and for leadership. Which is to say that my new standing towards the bottom of the food chain revealed, if not to others, then very clearly to myself and my confessor, just how much I had come to treasure my self-importance. That revelation surfaced in how I missed the approval of others, the way others looked to me. I may not have boasted about it aloud, but ultimately what it revealed was that, however sincerely I meant to give God the glory, I rather enjoyed the glory that landed on me. I did not, in the prophet's words, seek righteousness, seek humility. But in the providence of God, they were given to me. One might say, imposed on me, as conditions of what I did seek, the fullness of truth, the fullness of the church. It was all part of the package. God says that the people he's chosen is a people humble and lowly, and this is how he's trying to make me what he means all his people to be. St. Paul tells us that the church in Corinth did not consist of those who were wise, powerful, or noble. God, the apostle says, chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what was weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose what is low and despised in the world, even things that are not, to bring to nothing things that are. Why would God do that? So that no flesh might boast in the presence of God, the apostle declares. Whether God chooses us because we're among the low, the humble, the meek, or chooses to take those whom the world counts wise, powerful, or noble, his purpose is to make it clear that our wisdom is not from us, but from another, Jesus Christ. Our righteousness is not from our own, but Jesus' righteousness in us. Our sanctification is not from ourselves, but from Jesus. Our redemption is not of our doing, but his. The song Our Lady sang at the Visitation, the Magnificat, or Song of Mary, which the Latin Church prays at Vespers every day, speaks of God putting down the mighty and exalting the humble and meek. In this, the Blessed Mother takes up a theme that runs through the prophets, back to the song of Hannah, the mother of the prophet Samuel. Among God's people, in God's kingdom, the world is turned upside down. The world looks down on those who are poor, whether in spirit or in fact. God counts them blessed and gives them his kingdom. The world's attempt to console those who mourn are awkward because it doesn't understand what death is and where it leads. God counts mourners blessed and comforts them. The world tramples the meek and pushes them out of the way. God promises them the earth as their possession. The world despises as weak those who show mercy. God promises them his mercy. The world looks down on those who are pure of heart, who are motivated by love of God and other rather than themselves. God promises that they shall see his face. The world doesn't hesitate to inflict harm, though it does do everything it can to avoid being harmed itself. God gives the kingdom of heaven to those who stand faithful under persecution for his name's sake. Jesus holds before us the kind of people God wants us to be, the kind of people his providence works outwardly and his grace works inwardly to make us. Poor in spirit, meek, hungry for righteousness, merciful, pure of heart, peacemakers. In short, he wants us to be like Jesus. That is his desire for all people. God calls those whom the world considers foolish, weak, low, and despised blessed, and promises them a great reward in heaven. In doing so, he puts the wise, the strong, the powerful to shame. But he does so not just to shame them, but to convert them, in order to bring them to let him make them that sort of people too. People who no longer boast of themselves, but of the Lord. People he deems blessed and promises the same reward. Jesus is our wisdom. Jesus is our righteousness. Jesus is our sanctification. Jesus is our redemption. Jesus is the source of our life. Let him who boasts, boast of the Lord.